Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Market Mamas channel. I'm Becky, and this is Kendra. And just to remind everyone, we are day traders. Been about 3 years, we trade the futures market, and we really just wanted to bring some of our experience out in the public and see if it can help serve other people who are likewise like early to middle traders and talk about discussions that really serve us. And so today we wanted to dig into a topic that is about a book that I read that was really impactful last year. And some of you may have heard of the author. It's Dr. Joe Dispenza. So my mentor, Jermaine, recommended one of his books to me last year when I was in a particularly challenging period in my trading. And I kind of fell headfirst into it. And I really grew with the knowledge that I gained from reading that book and doing the work that it suggests for some true, deep subconscious growth. So this, I think, is a must-read book title for anyone who really also recognizes the need for some deep growth, which was a topic we covered in our interview with Zvi not that long ago. I mean, it really can change you for the better and make you an improved trader if you recognize the depths that you can grow from. So the book is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and it's by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
For sure. This book was very deep. And when you got into it right off the bat, I knew that I had to dive in myself. And so it was really just a powerful force for both of our journeys. And the beginning of the book just really paints a picture of who Dr. Joe Dispenza is and how his journey has progressed to where it's at and the knowledge base he has cultivated. So as a world-renowned author, speaker, researcher, and chiropractor, so many hats, he has, dedicated all these years to the understanding and combining of the fields of quantum physics, neuroscience, brain chemistry, biology, and genetics to show us what is truly possible. So within this book, he provides the science and his personal remarkable story of healing as evidence to what he teaches. And still, at present, he holds seminars and programs all over the world to further disseminate his powerful and impactful message to those who are seeking this type of mind change and behavior modification. So the best part of this book, however, is in the second half, where he really provides tools for us to stop being the old self so we can start becoming the new self. So it's just pretty amazing. Let's get into it.
Right? So when I first read this book, I was struggling with being consistent and confident in trading my system. I would have large swings in my trading outcomes, and it was not steady or sustainable. It wasn't the trader that I wanted to be. So this book and its concepts were like a life raft in that turbulent water for me. It was a grand idea from an expert that could really have the power to teach me how to pull myself out of the mess that I was kind of swirling around in. Let me give you a solid overarching quote from the book. If we want to change some aspect of our reality, we have to think, feel, and act in new ways. We have to be different in terms of our responses to experiences. We have to become someone else. We have to create a new state of mind. We need to observe a new outcome with that new mind. So that perspective really put me in the driver's seat of my own life, and I was so ready. Dispenza explains that if we can do the hard work with our minds purposefully and consistently, that we can rewire our brains to the point that we are, in fact, on another level as a person, and soon our outward outcomes will reflect that. If we can stop feeling negative, inconsistent, or lost, but instead hold that we are focused, driven, and competent, then that sense of self we decide to live in instead will start becoming the new reality all around us. So, I mean, that sounds pretty great, right?
It certainly does. And, personally, this book also came at a time for me that I really needed it and probably didn't even realize to the magnitude, because when I very first started learning trading, I did have this idea of, okay, I do need to upgrade my identity, my personality. I need to become a better version of myself to do this greater and bigger, thing in front of me. And I did very well at doing that. I did all the things. I became extremely mindful. I started serving and supporting my psychology, taking in wonderful content, becoming more present. However, mind you, I was doing all this when I was in the beginning, baby, very green, very, excited phase of my trading journey, when we're learning. And that's an exciting time. I was still in that phase of, okay, I'm just going to learn all these great concepts and be the best student and do my time in sim, and and then things are just going to fall into place and be wonderful. And as we all know, that is not the usual path that traders go upon. There are some anomalies, but as I progressed and really started getting those hardcore lessons, those hard knock lessons, I realized that the mindfulness that I thought I had achieved and this idea of creating a new self, it needed a lot more deeper work. But this book really just gave us those tools to understand the need to become extremely observant of ourselves so we can define who exactly we are being in our environments, and how then we can remind ourselves who we no longer want to be. And so it really is an incredible concept, and it's something that most of us are just unaware of. And the whole, core of the book is to rewire unconscious thoughts, so we can become present and make those significant changes. And it really resonated with me when he said, if you want a new outcome, you will have to break the habit of being yourself and reinvent a new self. I mean, that is a good point. And it's very much in line with what we have said before. If you want something different, you have to do something different.
I love the idea of reinventing oneself to the goal of leveling up. I mean, we don't want to stay where we've been, so you got to change. So while many might argue that it's too late to really change, once you're an adult, once you're established with certain behavioral paths, Dispenza holds that there is no time limit on that, but it's harder. So from the book on this aspect, it says, psychologists tell us that by the time we're in our mid-30s, our identity and personality will be completely formed. So this means that for those of us over 35, we have memorized a select set of behaviors, attitudes, beliefs, emotional reactions, habits, skills, associative memories, conditioned responses, and perceptions that are now subconsciously programmed within us. Those programs are running us because the body has become the mind. This means that we will think the same thoughts, feel the same feelings, react in identical ways, behave in the same manner, believe the same dogmas, and perceive reality the same way. About 95% of who we are by midlife is a series of subconscious programs that have become automatic. Driving a car, brushing our teeth, overeating when we're stressed, worrying about our future, judging our friends, complaining about our lives, blaming our parents, not believing in ourselves, and insisting on becoming and being chronically unhappy, just to name a few. Sounds familiar, right? It makes a lot of sense for who we are as humans, and especially as we get deeper into adulthood. It's far easier to allow the habits we have settled into to just lead us every day. It's simple and it requires almost no effort. But what if you want higher outcomes and success? What if you decided in middle adulthood that you want to pursue a career or a path such as day trading like Kendra and I have? Well, you're going to have to push it. Dispenza has a point. You have to shift. If we want a whole lot more and new for ourselves in this life, especially later in life, we're going to need to do some serious work on also leveling up our mindset and our associated emotions and actions to actually achieve those goals. Because otherwise, the momentum will not be sustainable because of the pull of and the security that we have been for so long.
Right. You talk about security, and it really just makes me think of one of the concepts that Joe talks about in this book. And it's kind of a hard one because it's uncomfortable. So most of us are addicted to the problems and conditions of our lives that produce stress. So it's almost like this feedback loop that serves us, that we become so addicted to the stress because the stress has become part of our identity. And I know that a lot of people, it's common for them to relate to each other through stress, right? It's like if you observe a conversation, most people are really passionate when they're talking about things that are wrong, when they're talking about things that are unjust. It's much harder to have a conversation about, growing and expanding. And, so this idea that he presents, it was really important for me in that chapter, because he talks about how it's almost our ego. Our ego is so attached to our identity, and our ego is so attached to what's happened in our past or what we're worried about in the future. So he really talks about the importance of being able to pull your mind into the present and then show us the power that our minds really have. So we can drive our thinking and our outcomes to minimize the influence of those subconscious emotions that have been learned, that are patterns, but that are too often we're just letting run rampant, and they really have no place in our current situation and what we're currently doing, what we're currently pursuing, how we're currently living. So Joe offers this warning: when feelings become the means of thinking, or if we cannot think greater than how we feel, we can never change. To change is to think greater than how we feel. To change is to act greater than the familiar feelings of the memorized self. So again, it does require a lot of deep work. And like Becky said, we went about this book when we were both at a place where we wanted to do more, to become cognizant of these things and to just upgrade ourselves. But it was definitely worth it to have those breakthroughs and understand more.
Yeah, he did a really good job of like giving the background of why you need to make the changes. And then later in the book, Joe starts elaborating deeper on how this process actually works best. And then that's when we got so into it, you guys. So I know myself, I wrote tons of notes from these chapters, and I spent some serious time answering the questions with some kind of soul searching effort that kept me up at night. And it really, I wanted to make it as impactful for my life as possible because I was dedicating time to this, and time is a hot commodity for me. So I really kind of dove into like getting a good impact out of it. And so the early work, what that looked like is about recognizing the roots of your problem. So Joe asked readers to ask themselves, what is presently not working? Name it and then obtain power over it. It's like having a life review that brings awareness of to the automatic memorized emotions we're experiencing. He encourages you to be attentive to the traits of the old personality of the past and recognizing who you have been for the benefit that your consciousness can stop being immersed in those unconscious programs. Call it out. He educates that self-limiting emotions are responsible for your automatic thought processes. So that in turn creates your attitude, which impacts your limiting beliefs about yourself and your personal perceptions. So you guys, I seriously understood that so much. And it made me really critically think about the questions, because he asks you to ask yourself, what kind of person have I been? Is there a feeling that I experience and even struggle with over and over again every day? And then he advises us to choose one emotion that is a big part of who you are that you purposely want to unmemorize, kind of the big guy. So this is one of your afflicted emotional states and limiting states of mind, that one of the habits of being yourself that you want to relinquish. Some of the possibilities are insecurity, worry, guilt, shame, anxiety, fear, envy, unworthiness, or lack. Right? None of those serve us. And I think we all have a touch of them. So after the reader selects one of those powerful emotions that significantly impact themselves, then he wants you to observe how that unwanted emotion feels in your body. So you feel hot, flushed, headache, tension. It makes you feel gross, right? Those feelings are not positive, and you generally know the sense that it creates in you. And the point on that is that our attachment to this emotion, it means that we're mentally and physically bound by our past, and that creates an emotion in our personality, in our reality. Emotions are the end part of our experiences. So by re-experiencing the same negative things day after day, you can never evolve and change into a future state. So this step of purely recognizing the powerful hold of past experiences on our day-to-day activities, it paints such a powerful rationale of why we must tackle this in our minds. At least it was a really powerful realization to me, like the fact that it really impacts all of our lives. Call it out and bring it to light.
It really was. It was so impactful and powerful. And I know for that exercise, one of the strongest ones I highlighted was lack. And going through that exercise and literally like having to pinpoint how that shows up in my life, and like so many different ways that felt like they're protecting me, that I just became so accustomed to, just became a part of me, and realizing like, no, that's lack. Like that's not okay. And it's not loving. One of the other things that he really points out in the book is about when you're having thoughts, doing things that aren't loving to yourself. When I give into those feelings of lack, when I'm judgmental towards myself, when I'm having thoughts that aren't serving myself, like that's not being loving to myself. And so reminding yourself of who you no longer want to be, another really, really great core concept in the book that he talks about is nerve cells that no longer fire together, no longer wire together. So essentially, we're literally rewiring our brain. And, he clearly outlines, how it all ties together in our current life and how we can make those changes. So digging into those concepts and doing that personal work to make those upgrades, it can be really incredible for you. And it's really the call of action of it all. So after you do that work, you go down that memory lane, you dig really deep in that discomfort, you pull it all out into the light, then you can go about recognizing what you actually do need to change. And then he really helps us on the how. So he gets real and he asks you to own who you are, who you've been showing up for yourself day after day, and admit and declare. And that's really how you start the process. So you have to really acknowledge your true self rather than the self you show other people, but allow yourself to be vulnerable, to move beyond the realm of your senses and then develop a relationship with the higher power. So being honest with who you have been and what you want to change about yourself. Humbly and sincerely admit who you have been hiding, and what you want to change about yourself so you can eliminate that unnecessary pain and suffering. That is what's loving towards yourself. And then he asks readers to speak out loud, what you have been hiding about yourself. So I know for Becky and I, not only did we journal, but we also made recordings of this. We had to listen to it. We had to just, become fully immersed. So there was no doubt of who this old version of us we're calling out and those habits that we are going to break and they no longer serve us. So giving up that drive to want to maintain how we appear and then releasing that energy, again, that ego. And then that's the only way you could consciously start stating the emotional ties that will eventually be able to free us from our old selves. And it can start to close that gap between how you appear and who you really are. So when you verbalize who you have been, you also can liberate that energy that's stored in your body. It sets you free. And then you can become better, used to create, better for yourself and to others.
Yeah, I love that. So I really dug this book, and I want to show you guys some of my personal inner work that I did. So the whole point of this is that it would help maybe some of you be inspired to think that if something like this, some journey and work can also benefit you by doing some deep internal dialogue and shift your personality. Maybe I can lead by example. That's why we kind of put ourselves out there in the raw and real. So Joe kind of in this part, he taps into the spirituality here by asking readers to yield to a greater power, allowing that power to resolve your limitations or your blocks, sort of give it away, stop trying to control it. So then you surrender to that infinite power, what you don't want to have anymore. The instructions were to humbly ask it to take your limitations from you in a different way than you have previously tried so that you can resolve your issues. And so to do it with sincerity, humility, honesty, certainty, clarity, passion, and trust. And so then you just get out of the way. You trust the work that you're doing. Ideally, when you live as if your prayers have already been answered, this greater mind can do what it does best by organizing your life in new and unusual ways. So in this process, you want to surrender with joy and gratitude for the outcome and look forward to the expected future of this letting go. So I wrote a surrender statement from this work, and it was really helpful. I listened to it a lot. I almost had it memorized. So I'm going to read it for you guys. Universal mind within and around me, forgive my worries, my anxieties, and my small-minded concerns, and I give them to you. I trust that you have the mind to resolve them much better than I could. Arrange the players in my world so the doors open for me. Innate intelligence. I release my suffering and my self-pity to you. I have mismanaged my inner thoughts and actions for long enough. I allow you to intervene and provide a greater life in a way that is just right for me. I need your help to break down my mental blocks from my deep feelings of unworthiness. Please take this energy that I waste on this emotion and reorganize it into something greater. Use me as your body to become truly strong, confident, and powerful, to become abundant. From everything that I am, thank you for your help. I've been stuck here for too long, and it is time to stop holding myself down. I believe in you, and I am incredibly grateful for your intervention in my mind and body. I fully intend to pay this assistance forward to as many struggling women that I possibly can for the rest of my life. I want success for myself and my family, but I also want to empower so many more. This emotion of unworthiness is not unique to me, and so many of us need your help. So thank you for leading me to you, to all of the wonderful people by my side, and to this limitless potential. I will always be grateful and purposeful with this gift of your energy and faith in me. So I wrote this, and then I also recorded it on my phone in the record app, and I listened to it quite a bit. I want to put out positive energy and be grateful that I am worthy of getting the feedback, you know? So this book has way more details about all of this. But I think that if we hear that other people are doing things that maybe others might judge, but if we're doing it in an effort to really level up our lives, like, it can be powerful.
100%. It totally is. And what's interesting about this book too is that it points out the need to unlearn so we can learn and we can be open. We can,
Mhm.
go to these next levels. And a lot of that is a lot of the stuff we've learned along our lives, we don't need anymore. It was for that season. It was for that time. And they created who we are, but we got to let go of so much in order, we have to excavate so we can elevate. And that is something that's really hard because, we live in a world where we're so defined by what we've done, the things we've done, the choices we've made to get us to this point. But at any point, we can choose a new path. And that's what we did when Becky and I decided to become day traders, in our mid 30s. I mean, totally. And so there was so much of our previous past that, doesn't serve us in this particular arena. This work that we're doing now really did require us to have to, lean into the work that Dispenza offers, guides us through, and that it really is important if you can embrace it. So thank you for sharing that, Becky. That was beautiful. I remember when you recorded it and sent it to me, and it was just, it's like a soothing type of, just, again, it's loving to yourself. Yeah. And it's just, Dispenza also, one of the main things he teaches and he's known for is his meditation. And so in addition to the PDFs that comes along with this book and all the exercises you can do, he also has a guided meditation follow-up audiobook as well, where he talks about meditation a lot in the book, but this one kind of walks you through it. So I needed that because I'm not one, that has mastered meditation at all in my life. But again, a lot of it just centers around, I think a lot of people have the misconception that meditation, you're just sitting there and then you're in this perfect state of mind and, you're cleared your mind completely. And no, it's really not that. It's becoming observant of your thoughts, of what's going in your mind, and then being able to call it out and redirect it, and getting so good at that you really stop having those negative, emotions and feelings drive you. So, his meditative instruction, and guided meditations, they've just been some of my favorite, in order to calm and recenter myself and remind myself of his teachings, frequently. And then one of the things that he talks about in terms of meditation is that meditation is a means for you to move beyond your analytical mind so that you can access your subconscious mind. That's critical, since the subconscious is where all your bad habits and behaviors that you want to change reside. So at the end of the day, it is all about behavior modification. And that's easier said than done. But I promise you, this book really gives some great tools, and it's just a wonderful guide to start that process.
Right. I love that. And his guided meditations are amazing. And meditation is really something that even if you are not skilled with it and you don't feel like you're doing it right, like it doesn't matter so much if you're doing it exactly as you're told textbook wise, but if you just kind of try to embrace and do the best you can, it really can bring such peace and contentment to a little slice of your day. So it's valuable for me as well, for sure. Um, so this, we kind of opened up with you guys about all the Dispenza stuff because it was powerful for us. And so it's kind of just the tip of the iceberg in this episode with all of the work that Dispenza has done, because he's published and he continues to put out, actively on all the different platforms. But we wanted to just bring you a little bit that has really given us value and has aided us in the process of elevating and perseverance to our highest goals. And Joe Dispenza's work ticks all those boxes for us. It really just like only helps, and it really, digs into the root of our issues, which is our personality a lot of the time, our deep seated initial responses. So one more thing that he said in this book that I loved was, think of it this way: the input remains the same, so the output has to remain the same. How then can you ever create anything new? Exactly. That's a poignant point. There came a time for me that I recognized that I was holding myself back from higher goals and outcomes. And even still today, I'll have days where I'm like, I knew better. And I did this again. And it's none of this is a quick fix, but to have the kind of the light shown on it helps us recover quicker. And I'm not, as is Kendra, we're not one to shy away from the hard work, especially if there is evidence that that work will bring us the results that we're looking for. Sign me up. Like, I will give my time and energy and show up for myself for these aims every time, because I'm actually am worthy, not unworthy. And so, I mean, we all are, right? So if this is something that will help, like, go for it. So that's why we need to have a Spark Mama episode with you guys, because if you haven't heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza or his work, we think it's worth your time and energy. If you know that you are hunting for more from your life, but you are encountering consistent resistance, like I have, because this book kind of was like kind of an aha moment of like, that makes sense. Like, I keep hitting the same walls and I don't want to admit that it's me, but it's me.
Yeah. It's always us. I mean, it's always something inward. It's always, just another, layer we have to peel back, something we have to just get in tune with and recognize, call out, and then create an actionable plan surrounding. So I completely agree. We are continued works in progress, but we always show up for ourselves. Not perfectly, but progress every day. And so I'm really glad we did spend some time going through this book with you all, and it's definitely a must read for sure. As you all know, we love Audible, so look for it on there. And let us know what you think, or if any of you have already been through it, we would love to hear from you guys, what your experiences are with his teachings. I mean, you could also find him, of course, on amazing YouTube. He has a ton of really great content. And then, another quote from him that's just really good is, "A new personality produces a new personal reality." So there's always room for us to upgrade and change. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be better, a better version of yourself than you were yesterday, even if it's just 1%. So that one-liner really just summarizes the whole concept of the book. And we can dig in and fine-tune our personality and then really prune away the negative. Again, like I said earlier, excavate so we can elevate. And then now our full ideal self, it can really blossom. We could really show up and we could really play, full out, and we can, enter the arena, whatever your arena is, and really give yourself a shot every day, because we do deserve that. And so thank you all for joining us today. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We'll be doing our best to bring you guys everything we've got. So if you want to contact us further, we have all of our info in the descriptions below, our socials, our website, and just comment on the video. Thank you all. Have a good day. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.